going on, everybody? On this Tuesday, March 25th, 2025. My name is Kevin Smith. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Loud Majority Live. We got a jam-packed show for you guys today. Another hate crime hoax has been uncovered in the state of Pennsylvania. This stuff, there was Jesse Smollett, which obviously got national news. But this one might be even more insane than that one. There's a serious problem, and it's something that I think needs to be discussed moving forward when it comes to people who perpetrate these sorts of crimes or these sorts of allegations for their own gain. It's something really has to be done about this. We're going to get to that. Also, spoiler alert, a Honduran illegal immigrant has been charged with capital murder of a Georgia grandmother after, of course, he was released by the Biden administration. That shouldn't come as a shock to anybody. The Trump tariffs are beginning to bring manufacturing home, but a lot of this is going to require some work from Americans. What do I mean by that? We'll dive into all that good stuff as we rock, as we roll here. Before we get started, though, guys, hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. Share it out, share it out, share it out. Also, I've got some huge news for our local audience. I'm going to be making a video about this later on in the day and throughout the day. But, you know what? I'm going to throw this up on the screen now. So, no. Wrong one. I'm going to throw this up on the screen so you all can see it. Playing at the Paramount. The Paramount in Huntington this weekend, will be America's tenor Chris Macchio. Obviously, you guys know he sings at all the Trump rallies. He sings at all the events. If you guys are looking for tickets for that, head on over to Live Nation. Check out Chris Macchio over there, or give the Paramount a call over at 631-673-7300. That's going to be Saturday, March 29th for anybody in the local area at the Paramount in Huntington. Come on down and see Chris Macchio. Look, Chris is an awesome guy. He's a friend of mine. I'll be there. For anybody in our local audience who wants to check it out, head on over to Live Nation or go to the Paramount directly for tickets. Check that out. We're going to pop this live chat up on the screen. I got to be honest, it's a it's a relatively slow news day today. Not a lot seems to be going on right now. There are some congressional testimonies that we are No, he is not related to Ralph. He is not related to Ralph. Which is that, if you know why that's funny, you know why that's funny. So, guys, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, share the video out all over the place. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on this weekend all over the place. We're going to keep you updated on all of that. Of course, the crazy-ass Tesla Day of Action is going to be happening relatively soon. So, I'm sure we'll get some good footage from those. How's it going, everybody? AC Knight, how are you? Sagan, how are you? Vintage Little Gal, what is going on? Bobby Driver, what's happening? Terry, how are you? Sly, what is happening? Bob, got my shirt, no autograph. Yes, that is because I had to send Bob, I had to send the autograph hat separately. You should be getting it within a couple of days. I had to send that separately, so that'll be there in a couple of days. We will, I probably shall get all of that. So let's dive into the big news of the day. Big hate crime hoax in Allentown, Pennsylvania, where a school employee has been charged, you ready for this, after planting a noose on her own desk and then calling the police. This is absolutely wild. A Pennsylvania school employee has been charged after allegedly planting a noose on her own desk and then reporting it to law enforcement. Allentown police announced on Monday that Latarcia Latarcia Brown, a member of the Allentown School Board, a member of the Allentown School District Board of Directors, has been charged with tampering with or fabricating physical evidence and false reports to law enforcement. Both of them are misdemeanors. Allentown Police Investigator Lieutenant Stephen Milkovitz said during a press conference on January 20th at around 11 a.m., Brown arrived at her City Hall office. Brown notified the local PD that she had discovered what she believed to be a noose on her desk when she came in that morning. Authorities launched an investigation to find the person responsible, during which video surveillance and building access control records were reviewed to identify who was on the third floor where Brown worked between the time Brown left her office that night and when she came back to work that morning. Employees were identified and interviewed and all agreed to provide DNA samples except for Ms. Brown. Initially cooperative, Ms. Brown later requested that the investigation be discontinued. Brown's DNA was submitted to compare against DNA recovered from the noose on March 10th. Pennsylvania State Police Forensic DNA Division issued a report indicating that Brown's DNA matched the DNA profile obtained from swabs of both the outer surface and inner knot of the noose after it was taken apart. This is absolutely insane. Here was the report on that.
The purpose of this press conference is to provide an update regarding the noose investigation. I want to take a moment to thank the following agencies who assisted in this case: Lehigh County District Attorney's Office, the Pennsylvania State Police Crime Lab, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The Allentown Police Department conducted a thorough investigation, including interviews with persons, analysis of evidence, and consultation with the District Attorney's Office of Lehigh County. As a result of the subsequent investigation, Latarcia Brown was charged with tampering with or fabricating physical evidence, a misdemeanor of the second degree, and false reports to law enforcement, a misdemeanor of the third degree. As in every criminal case, the fact that a warrant has been issued or a complaint has been filed is merely an accusation. The defendant is presumed innocent until and unless proven guilty in a court of law. I'm now going to ask Captain Milkovitz to provide a summation of this investigation.
Good afternoon, everybody. Captain Milkovitz, Criminal Investigations Division. On January 10, 2025, at approximately 7:11 a.m., Allentown City employee Latarcia Brown arrived at her office on the third floor of City Hall. At approximately 7:38 a.m., Ms. Brown notified the Allentown Police Department that she discovered what she believed to be a noose on her desk upon arriving at work. Officers assigned to the Community Outreach Unit, Crime Scene Identification Unit, and Criminal Investigations Unit responded, initiating a criminal investigation to identify the individual responsible for placing the noose on Ms. Brown's desk. During the investigation, video surveillance and building access control records were reviewed to identify city employees present on the third floor of City Hall between the time Ms. Brown left for work on the afternoon of January 9, 2025, and her arrival on the morning of January 10th. Those employees were interviewed. Each was asked if they would provide a buccal swab for DNA testing if needed. Every employee agreed, except for Ms. Brown. Initially cooperative, Ms. Brown later requested that the investigation be discontinued. The noose was submitted to the Pennsylvania State Police Crime Lab for DNA testing on January 14, 2025. On January 24, 2025, a search warrant was approved by the Lehigh County District Attorney's Office for Ms. Brown's DNA, and a DNA sample was obtained that same day. On January 27, 2025, Ms. Brown's buccal swab was submitted to the Bethlehem Regional Crime Lab of the Pennsylvania State Police for comparison with DNA profiles recovered from the noose. On March 10, 2025, the Forensic DNA Division of the Pennsylvania State Police issued a written report indicating that Ms. Brown's DNA matched the DNA profile obtained from the swabs of both the outer surface and inner knotted portion of the noose after it was taken apart. No other person's DNA profiles found on the evidentiary items involved in this investigation. As a result of this investigation earlier today, Detective Harold Bonds of the Allentown Police Department filed charges against LaTarsha Brown at District Court 31-2-01 for the criminal offenses outlined earlier by Chief Roca. Thank you.
And look, here's the big problem with this. Right now, obviously this person is insane. They're a narcissist. Obviously, they have something seriously wrong with them. The problem with it is that nothing is going to happen. She got hit with 2 misdemeanors. She'll probably pay a little fine. Nothing is really going to happen. Now, I don't know what this woman's motivations were. I don't know why she did this. Was it a Jesse Smollett type situation for attention, for a raise? Who really knows? The problem is that until things like this are prosecuted seriously and prosecuted to a serious extent, they're going to continue happening. They're going to continue to happen. And nothing says things are getting better in America like having people who have to fake hate crimes, okay? Because it turns out if you lived in a place, say, I don't know, Poland in 1940, you wouldn't have to fake an anti-Semitic attack because they were actually happening. If you lived in Oxford, Mississippi in 1951, you wouldn't have had to stage a hate crime because they were actually happening. The problem is that as people on the left continue to pump oxygen into the notion of racism in a time and in a place where it just doesn't exist. Yes, there are racists out there. Yes, there are assholes, for sure. But to think this is some sort of a widespread, like we still need, things like the Southern Poverty Law Center. We don't. The problem with ending racism and why it will never end is because if it does, how many jobs go away? If we cured racism in this country, we wouldn't need Al Sharpton. And he, frankly, makes way too much money to ever let that go by the wayside. The way these fake hate crimes or fake crimes in general have to be prosecuted is that I personally believe, and I want to be clear, the standard of evidence on this would have to be significantly high. If you report a blatantly false, a blatantly not true crime, you should have to face the same punishment as the person you lodged the accusation against. What do I mean by that? Well, if you are a frequent viewer of this show, you know that a big moment in my life, a big story in my life, was Duke lacrosse. I'm a Long Islander. I played lacrosse. I knew guys that were good enough to play at Duke. I knew some of the guys on the team. I won't get into how deeply, but whatever, that's not the point. The girl who lobbied that accusation against those 3 teenagers faced no repercussions. None at all. Yet, 3 people faced 30 years in prison. And I think this same sort of circumstance should apply to here, to Jesse Smollett, to Columbia Mattress Girl, to, I don't know, what the hell's that actress's name? Blake Lively. Because false accusations never go away. Now, in this instance, nobody was charged. In this instance, nobody was hurt. The problem with it is there will be a stain on this institution for this forever. And in reality, nothing will happen to this person. She might lose her job, sure. But what would have been the punishment if someone had left a noose on this woman's desk. I think, personally, you want to put a stop to these sorts of things, because let's pretend for just a second someone did this. Intimidation, assault, harassment, hate crime, federal prison. I bet you that would stop it from happening. Bubba Wallace in NASCAR. I don't watch NASCAR because I live in New York and there's enough traffic. Nobody gets to go that fast to begin with. But Bubba Wallace, FBI investigation into a garage door pull. I could go on, and I could go on. On the crimes that just weren't. The crimes that just didn't exist. That were fabricated out of whole cloth. For my elder New Yorkers watching this, many of you will remember Tawana Brawley. Nothing happened to her. As a matter of fact, she got a new identity and apparently is a nurse in Virginia, according to last reports. That was 35 years ago. When was Tawana Brawley? Was that? When was that? Bum, 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 bum. 87. So that's older than me. That's older than me. That's what is that? 87. It's 37 years. 37 years ago. Now, if somebody had actually assaulted Tawana Brawley in the way that she claimed, I would want that person to spend the rest of their life in prison. In much the same way as if the allegations against the guys at Duke had been true, they should have spent the rest of their lives in prison. Because racial crimes ought to be treated as such. And those people should not get to spend any time amongst the rest of us. The problem with it is, so long as we allow these things to continue to happen, they're not going to stop. However, how great is it that we live in such a time where stories like this have to be made up because the demand for racism does not meet the quantity of racism that exists? How we've moved from a society which, of no doubt, had its flaws. No one would question that. The supply of racism does not meet the demand. Because it turns out, despite the left and their bullshit, there's no other way to say it, their bloviating, America, not a racist country. Just isn't. As a matter of fact, we are the most non-racist, most welcoming country on planet Earth. Even with the structural problems in which we have, even with the current immigration plan that we have, which I fully support, America's still the most welcoming country in the world. And people understand that intrinsically. And that's why when you have people out there that won't stop with the racism, Joy Reid, Don Lemon, they can't let it go because they have nothing else. The damage that does, the damage that a Jussie Smollett type case does to a country, trying to rip it apart by its wounds of the past. Nothing could have been done to Jussie Smollett, punishment-wise, that would have been suffice. Because let's say they hadn't figured that this story in Pennsylvania was complete and utter crap. And let's say the investigation went forward and no person was charged. And this was left as a festering wound. in Allentown, Pennsylvania is not a big place, okay? It's not Tawana Baroli in New York City. It's not Jesse Smollett in Chicago. It's not even Duke Lacrosse in Durham. It's like a very minor metro. Imagine the wounds that would have ripped apart. Instead, this person will get a slap on the wrist. I don't know if this person falls under the context of a teachers union. But if she does, they will come to her full defense. She might not even lose her job. Because I want to be clear, the people who perpetrate the hoax are just as bad as the people who commit the crime. Because the people who commit the racial crime are doing it to prove a racial point. And the people who perpetrate the hoax are doing the exact same thing. Now, I don't know what this woman's motivations were, why she was doing it. Was she trying to get attention? Was she trying to get a raise? I don't really know. I don't really care either. Something's got to be done when these things happen. And unfortunately, I don't think anything is going to happen. I don't think anything's going to happen to this woman. And it's a shame because maybe if we actually dropped the hammer of justice down a little bit on these people, they would stop doing it. I'm just saying. Guys, we're going to move on because there is so much more that I want to make sure that I get to. Before we do that, hit that thumbs up button, guys. Share the video out all over the place. We are rocking. We are rolling here. This show is brought to you by Old Glory Bank.
When big banks decide who gets access to America's financial systems and who doesn't, who do you think gets left out? Middle Americans who proudly wave their pro-America values. Cancel culture in banking is corrosive. It limits your participation in a vibrant, free market economy. Fortunately, you can fight back. You now have the opportunity to invest in the bank that's investing in a fair American banking system, one based in freedom. Ownership in Old Glory Bank, the pro-America online bank, is here. Old Glory Bank is a full-service FDIC-insured bank that's the alternative to overreaching, un-American big banks. We stand for privacy, security, and liberty. We stand for freedom, family, faith, and the flag. We stand for all the values you stand for, and for the values big banks can't stand. So help keep banking in the hands of Main Street, not Wall Street. To invest in Old Glory Bank, go to oldglorybank.com.
Guys, head on over to oldglorybank.com. That's oldglorybank.com, obviously, for the lawyers. This is not financial advice, but I would suggest everybody check out the parallel economy over there at oldglorybank.com. Go to oldglorybank.com. So, I don't even really want to talk about this because I don't know. To me, it's not only does it seem kind of stupid, it's going to be out of the news cycle any day now, but we got to talk about this stupid ass group chat. Okay, first off, I want to make something very clear. Group chats suck, okay? Don't ever include me in a group chat. They're the absolute worst. I'm in 2 group chats that are acceptable. 1 is here at LFA, God forbid something happens. And 2 is my fantasy football group chat. I don't need to be included in any other group chat. However, if you're going to include me in a group chat, please don't include me with Jeffrey Goldberg from The Atlantic, one of the most genuinely disingenuous. I guess you can't be genuinely disingenuous. One of the most disingenuous people, maybe, on the planet. This has obviously taken over the news cycle. And the administration is in full panic mode over this thing. Right now, there are people, the administration officials are testifying in front of Congress, and they are getting blown up about it. For those of you who haven't heard what happened, apparently Jeffrey Goldberg from The Atlantic was included in a group chat about the bombing of Yemen. Now, a couple things about this. Number one, I really, 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 really hope we are not deciding foreign policy over signal chats. That's number one. I hope there's some, I don't know, at least be in the same room with each other while you're discussing bombing a foreign country. The problem is with this, and look, it doesn't really have any sort of national security implications. It's just an unforced error. It's just an unforced error in the administration. And that's the problem. It's just something that didn't need to happen. It is a cluster. That's what it makes it look like. Now, do I care if they bomb the Houthis in Yemen? Not really. Not really. I don't. I would much rather the strategic drone strike than boots on the ground for sure. But I do think it's kind of weird. It's a bit odd that, like, just in general, that, like, the entire Trump cabinet are all in one group chat together. Like, are they sharing memes in this? Like, because once you get put into a group chat, it basically just becomes an attempt to share memes with all of your friends. What are they doing in this chat? I don't know. To me, to my mind, it just doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good at all. Scott Jennings had another take on it. Hopefully this is the one that picks up.
All right, moments ago, Caitlin Collins was reporting on her show, Scott, that there is shock inside the White House that this chat was texted to Jeffrey Goldberg. Are you shocked?
Well, sure. I mean, it's a shocking thing, and they've admitted that it was a mistake and admitted that it's authentic, so they're owning up to it. I think they're still, based on what I've heard tonight, trying to figure out how it happened. I'm not sure the National Security Advisor Walls even knows Goldberg. In fact, I don't believe he knows him and has never met him. I did learn a few things in some of my conversations, if you're interested. One is that the Signal program was preloaded on a number of devices and agency computers in this circuit when they got there. So in their view, it was already in use. Number two, in some of the messages, they talk about needing to go to the high side computers, which is the classified system. So they clearly were knowing there was a line on what you could discuss in a chat like this versus classified system. Number three, there is a dispute over whether the term war plans is being exaggerated. And number four, look, I love the policy. It's well executed. You've got a thoughtful policy discussion going on. And we did what the Biden administration would not do, stop these people from harassing our shipping lanes and our boats and our Navy. So good on the Trump administration for reversing a bad policy.
So a wild triumph. And I will note that Pete Hegseth does not agree with you that it's all authentic. He went in and attacked Jeffrey Goldberg and said,
Scott Jennings doing yeoman's work out there. Obviously, he's been a real fighter for the Trump agenda and for the America First cause. But it's going to be kind of tough. It's going to be kind of tough to defend this one. Moreover, this is the part of the America First movement that I really dislike. And I think this is going to be something that upsets some people. And that's okay. That's okay, because we're allowed to do that here. I think it is okay to admit when a mistake has been made. Elon said it in the cabinet meeting a couple of weeks ago, that if they make a mistake, they're going to say it. They're going to say it. The problem is, and many on the America First right do this, and it drives me absolutely up a wall, that if something happens, anything happens, there's always some kind of 4D chess happening. Like everyone's thinking on a different level. You know what I think happened? You really want to know what I think happened? How Jeffrey Goldberg got included in this group chat? I am somebody who believes that the simplest answer is probably the most correct answer to most things. Jeffrey Goldberg's name begins with J.E. J.D. Vance is in the chat. Somebody added him by accident. They went to look for J.D. They hit J.E. and they went down a little too far and added Jeffrey Goldberg. That's it. That's all I think happened. That seems completely logical. Anyone who's ever sent a work email or started a group chat. And by the way, if you're somebody who starts group chats, I speak for everyone when I say stop doing that. Stop starting group chats. Mario Nicoletto, I'm talking to you. I'm absolutely talking to you. I don't know. This is one of the things I think we take the unforced error and we move on. Hold on, what's happening right now? What, somebody saying something's hold on. Somebody's saying Trump is entering Congress right now. Is that what I just read? What is that? Somebody said that? Where is it happening now? Watch, Trump makes epic entrance into Congress. I'll look for there, but I don't see that. Guys, hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. We'll be back in 1 second. Mike Lindell.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 20% on our brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one I've worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get our 2025 six-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, just $14.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our first ever mega sale. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship is sailed because right now, every order ships absolutely free.
Guys, head on over to mypillow.com, promo code LOUD. That's mypillow.com, promo code LOUD for up to 80% off everything on the website. That's mypillow.com, promo code LOUD. Yeah, I don't know what that person was talking about before, Trump going to Congress. I don't think that is happening. I don't think that's happening at the moment, but we will monitor the wires, and we will let you know if and when that is happening. Yes. Yeah, I don't think anything's really happening right now. I know right now we are awaiting, apparently Senate Democrats and Senate Republicans are set to speak about something. We're not really sure. We're waiting for that news conference. There's a major drug bust going on down in the state of Florida. But other than that, I don't really see anything. However, what I do see is Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett, genuinely one of the worst people I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Jasmine Crockett, with her fake nails and her fake eyelashes and her fake hair, everything, matter of fact, her fake accent, almost nothing about her is actually real. Almost nothing about her is actually real. Well, she took the stage today and decided apparently inclusivity is not something that Democrats really care about anymore. And look, I have my problems with the governor of Texas. However, I'm not going to make fun of him for being paralyzed. I'm not going to make fun of him for being in a wheelchair. But Jasmine Crockett apparently has no low. Apparently she has no bottom, referring to Governor Abbott as Governor Hot Wheels.
Thank you so much, Morgan, because we in these hot-ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot-ass mess, honey. So yes. Right, okay. All right, I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on because,
First off, somebody's got to tell Jasmine Crockett to get a little bit more glue as that horsehair is slipping out of her head. But what a vile human being. What a just disgusting person. There's really no other way to describe Jasmine Crockett. But, as I said, until there are consequences, there will be no change in the action. Now, nothing will happen to Jasmine Crockett because Democrats don't turn on their own. That is the difference between Republicans and Democrats. If George Santos were a Democrat, he would have never been expelled from Congress. You know how I know that? Because Bob Menendez wasn't expelled from the Senate for basically being a spy. For basically being a spy for the Egyptians. But nothing happened there because Democrats don't get rid of their own. And that ought to be a message to certain people who may want to be in Congress again, or certain people who may think they want to be governor. I'm just saying. Never once have Democrats said, you know what? Let's do the right thing for the good of the institution. They've never done that before. Because they're all genuinely awful people. Never once have they decided, you know what? We're just going to do the right thing for the good of the institution. Like, do you think Jasmine Crockett will face any repercussions for, I don't know, assaulting a reporter as she did yesterday in the halls of Congress?
Hello, Congresswoman.
Horse manure. Well, that sounds like fun.
Wait, Congresswoman Crockett.
But it sounds.
Congresswoman Crockett, you were recently on a Tesla takedown call calling for violence on the
that's what it is
29th.
to be here, right?
Would you like to clarify your comments?
As you can see.
Congresswoman,
No,
will you
it's good to
condemn violence at the Tesla?
That courtesy of Laura Loomer. Yeah, you can't do that. You can't do that, but obviously you know you can't upset a strong black woman. Because if not, she'll start snapping her fingers. And making all sorts of noises. Jasmine Crockett is absolutely vile. But this is what Democrats do. They continue to call for more and more violence. They continue to call for it up, down, left ways, and sideways. And nothing ever gets done about it. Nothing gets done about it. And it's a shame, too, because, unfortunately, this is one of those things that I think is going to get worse before it gets better. We're going to see what's going to happen this weekend. There's been a day of action against Tesla dealerships because apparently Democrats are doing their damnedest to make you believe that the people who are destroying public property, painting swastikas on the ground, and firebombing businesses are actually the good guys. They're doing their damnedest to try to make you believe that setting things on fire makes them good. Why? Because there are never consequences to crimes. As we saw in 2020. I made a post the other day that got a lot of traction that said that currently we are in the middle of the Second American Civil War, and most people don't even know it. And I believe that. When I know a lot of people, when they think Civil War, they have this outsized idea like it's going to be people fighting on different sides of a field, or there's going to be some kind of a national divorce or something. That's not what's happening. At the very least, we've been in the middle of the first American culture war for quite some time now. At the very least, if nothing else. And I'm happy to be at the front of it. I'm happy to be at the front of it. Guys, before we keep rocking and rolling, once again, we are awaiting a press conference inside of the Senate building. I'm sure it has something to do with this signal chat that is absolutely absurd. That's absolutely nuts. But once again, we are awaiting that. Before we keep rocking and rolling here today, guys, hit the thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. Do me a favor, guys. Head on over to lfatv.us. That's lfatv.us. That's your home base, your mothership, your landing pad for all things LFATV related. You guys can check out the LFATV store. And while you guys are there, consider becoming a monthly donor over at lfatv.us. That's lfatv.us. That is the best way to support this channel and everything we've got going on. It helps keep the lights on over here. As always, you guys know we appreciate your Rumble rants. We appreciate all the donations that you guys always give. So let's move on here, because many of the people on TV, many of the people who wear makeup on television have been telling you that these Trump tariffs are going to lead to the end of the world, that the world is going to end, that the world economy is going to absolutely collapse. But it turns out a February jobs report revealed that 10,000 new manufacturing jobs have been added in just the course of a month. His first month in office, Donald Trump was able to add 10,000 manufacturing jobs. That's 120,000 over the course of a year. That's 500,000 over the course of a presidency. Donald Trump has been implementing tariffs on various foreign nations on different industry sectors, which has resulted in a set of improved outcomes for the United States in the manufacturing industry. A February jobs report revealed that 10,000 new manufacturing jobs, were added over the course of the month. This came after a 25% tariff was implemented on steel and aluminum per the executive order signed by President Trump on February 11th. A source close to the matter told the Post-Millennial that as of Tuesday, President Trump has imposed new tariffs on more than $1 trillion in exports, which is a 600 billion increase from that of his first term. Now, obviously, this is going to do something to the economy, obviously. And as we've stated on this show numerous times, many times, there is going to be a resettling effect of the economy. But a lot of this is going to depend on us as well. Let's dive in. With the implementation of these tariffs, there was an increase of nearly 9,000 auto manufacturing jobs in the U.S. market in the month of February. Additionally, multiple car manufacturers have announced billions of dollars worth of investment into the United States, including Hyundai's Monday announcement of an investment of $21 billion into various U.S. products over the next several years. Why do I keep yawning? I'm so sorry. That is so unprofessional. Sorry about that. Rolls-Royce has also reported moving its engine manufacturing to the United States in order to counteract the tariffs, according to the Telegraph. Now, that is crucial. Why? Because many of the jet engines we use Rolls-Royce engines. In late January, Stellantis announced it was reopening an Illinois plant to build the Dodge Durango before Trump implemented tariffs against Canada and Mexico. Trump also used tariffs to get concessions on border security and drug trafficking. In addition to the car companies, other companies have been taking an increased interest in investing in the United States after Trump implemented the 10% tariff on goods from China. Apple has said that it will invest another $500 billion to hire 20,000 U.S. workers and researchers. Last week, Johnson & Johnson announced a $55 billion investment for health products manufacturing, research, and development over the next 4 years. What is this going to do? It is going to give you more power. Do you hate your job? Are you old and maybe want to go back to work part-time, but you don't want to work at McDonald's? Do you have children that are currently getting a vitamin D deficiency from playing Fortnite in the basement for 17 hours a day? There are jobs out there, and this will raise the wages of the working class in this country, because it will give people more opportunities in order to work. Oh, hold on a minute. We've got what is this? We got Mike Johnson set to speak right now. Let's see what old Mikey Johnson is up to.
From the Atlantic on the...
In some cases, they even went to events for their children at school. It's gotten out of hand. That behavior cannot be tolerated. It's an enhanced threat environment for a lot of reasons, and we see Tesla dealerships being firebombed and all these things happening. It cannot be encouraged by leaders in Congress. So I am calling on Leader Schumer and Leader Jeffries in the House to put an end to this, to explain that threats of violence and intimidation like that is not an acceptable form of political protest. We all believe in free speech. I used to defend it in courts, but this is something very different, and it's a very serious situation, and they need to get control of that. Chuck Schumer and congressional Democrats are feeling the heat, and they're lashing out because of it. And we saw all sorts of unusual activity over the last week. It's well chronicled. The Democrats have no vision, no message, no leader. You heard about it here today. The American people have taken note. CNN found that just 29% of the people view the Democratic Party favorably now. NBC found that the number at 27%. Quinnipiac poll over the weekend was an interesting one. Since they've been taking the poll, which goes back many years, decades, congressional Democrats are at their lowest approval rating with their own base ever. They're 9 points underwater. What was really interesting about that, Politico did a piece on this, and they contrasted where the Democrats stand and where we stand. While they're at their lowest number of all time and they're 9 points underwater with their own base, congressional Republicans are at our highest mark ever, and we're at plus 69 points with our own base. That's a pretty stark contrast. And I think we all know why. Axios reported yesterday that Democrats are, quote, in their deepest hole in nearly 50 years. This is not a mystery. Everyone understands what's happening and why. In their haste to oppose President Trump in our efforts to make government more efficient, Democrats are cutting off their noses to spite their own face. Look, I've made a list of this. They're cheering the decline of an American company which employs over 100,000 workers. They refuse to celebrate the return of stranded American astronauts because SpaceX facilitated their return. Without a hint of irony, they're trading in their electric vehicles for SUVs, as was noted earlier, all right? They publicly refuse to stand for a childhood cancer survivor, victims of violent crimes during President Trump's joint address. Their message has gone from, it's more than just anti-Trump now, it's anti-American, and everyone sees that, and the polling reflects it. The American people are not stupid. They understand what's happening here. We have a word of advice to our Democrat colleagues. If you want to pull yourselves out of the wilderness and the doldrums that you're in, get on board with the American people who support our common sense agenda. It is common sense to keep men out of women's sports. It is common sense to secure the border and deport dangerous illegal aliens, as you talked about earlier. It is common sense to make government more efficient and cut fraud, waste, and abuse, and do right by the taxpayer. We are not doing these things because they're Republican priorities. They are priorities because it's the right thing to do. And the American people want the right thing to be done. And the Democrats are opposing it, and they see it very clearly. Republicans in Congress enjoy record high levels of approval because we're engaging in what we understand to be simple truths, and we're delivering on it. We got a small majority, that's true. But this House GOP conference has stayed together and stayed laser focused on passing common sense legislation and executing the Trump agenda as quickly as possible. When we stay united, we do right by the people. I look forward to working with Leader Thune and our Senate counterparts to move that budget reconciliation bill. It will be the largest, most consequential piece of legislation in decades, maybe in one of the most in all of the history of Congress. We're excited to deliver that for the people, and we have no time to waste. We've got almost 80 million people that supported President Trump, and House Republicans. We all had our largest totals ever. We're going to do what they asked us to do, and we are not going to keep them waiting. And so you're going to see us moving aggressively here and across the country to make sure that happens. So I'll yield some of your questions.
You just mentioned the Senate. Obviously, y'all released a statement yesterday about this. Do you think that the Senate's dragging their feet on reconciliation? Do you think they need to kind of speed things up and hurry up?
Well, look, I'm going to say this, and I've been saying this consistently, and I believe it. There's no daylight between House and Senate Republicans. We are one team. I speak with Leader Thune about this constantly, and with individual members of the Senate over there. We're all united on the mission, and there's been different ideas about how to complete the mission, but I think it's all coming together now. This week will be pivotal. We have a big meeting at the White House later today. Complete the mission, but I think it's all coming together now. This week will be pivotal. We have a big meeting at the White House later today with the leaders in both chambers, Republican leaders, to unite and get this thing done. We don't I don't fault the Senate. They've had a lot on their plates. They had to get all the confirmations done for the administration. It takes a lot of floor time. Leader Thune's kept them in 5 days a week, just working around the clock, getting their job done. But we began in the House. We have a bit of an advantage over the Senate because we began this a long time ago. In fact, it was a year ago in March that we first got the committee chairs together and said, start working on your reconciliation bill priorities. We knew that we would come to unified government. We were convinced that President Trump would win and that we would have the Senate and the House, and we wanted to be prepared to lead. We put together the playbook, as you've all heard me talk about so many times, and we did all that work. It took a lot of time, many, many months to get us to where we are. The Senate is a little bit behind pace, not because they weren't working hard, but because they were just engaging in other things. And so what we're trying to do now is fast forward their process so they can get the cliff notes of basically what we did for the last year and skip through some of those steps because we'll all get to the same point. And I think that's very important. I have been pressing very hard, very aggressively to get the reconciliation bill done by late spring. You've all heard me say that. I mean, I'm trying to get this to the president's desk for signature at least by Memorial Day. I think it's very important. I think the timing is very important because we have to bring stability to the markets. We've got to make sure everybody's tax rates are locked in and they know that so people can make decisions about expanding their businesses and jobs and other things. We've got to, it'll settle the bond markets. It will secure the border. It will help us to restore and maintain peace through strength. And of course, it'll prevent the largest tax increase in U.S. history. All those things are very important to get done quickly so that the American people can feel the results of it. This is going to be a great piece of legislation, historic, and we're anxious to get it done. Second row.
Speaker Johnson, as you know, some of your Republican colleagues have signed on to an effort to force a vote on allowing proxy voting for new parents. Republicans use this method during the pandemic. Why not have a carve-out targeted for new parents for a short period of time?
So I addressed this in conference this morning. That's okay. You good? All right, we're good. All right, good. We addressed this in conference this morning. A handful of our colleagues have gotten behind the effort, and look, I'm a father. I'm pro-family. The Republican Party is pro-family. We want to make it as easy as possible for young parents to be able to participate in the process. But proxy voting, in my view, is unconstitutional. In fact, I feel so strongly about it, I helped present a brief to the United States Supreme Court just about 2 years ago, or longer now, all my days run together, years run together, but when Nancy Pelosi invented proxy voting, okay, using COVID as the excuse for that, it took us down a trail that I thought violated the very document that organized us. And I don't think it's constitutional. I think the founders intended that you have you have a presence of the members there in person, not just for quorum calls, but for votes itself. This is a deliberative body. You cannot deliberate with your colleagues if you're out somewhere else. Now, there are family circumstances that make it difficult for people to attend votes. I understand that. I've had them myself. Many of us have. The leader was almost assassinated. He was out for months and missed a lot of votes. But his constituents understood that, and we did. And we carried forward. Here's the problem. If you create a proxy vote opportunity just for young parents, mothers and the fathers in those situations, then where is the limiting principle? People have colleagues who feel equally convicted about this. Look, what if someone is ill, or what if their spouse is ill? What if their child, contracts some sort of disease or cancer, heaven forbid, and they need prolonged treatment? Can they be out for that? There's no limiting principle that would stop that, I think, if we go down that road. And so I believe it's unconstitutional. I believe it violates more than 2 centuries of tradition in the institution. And I think that it opens a Pandora's box where ultimately maybe no one is here and we're all voting remotely by AI or something. I don't know. I don't think that's what Congress is supposed to be. So I addressed it, in the room with all the House Republicans this morning. I'm not angry at anybody for doing this. Understand the motives are pure. Anna Paulina Luna has brought it forward. She has pure motives, and I talked with her about it last night.
All righty, so that was Speaker Mike Johnson. He's still going on with that press conference at the moment. It seems as though, just based on a slow news day, Republicans are doing everything they possibly can to take control of the news cycle, which is a great PR move. Because if you're not playing offense in politics, you are playing defense. Guys, we're going to wrap up right now. I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in. It's 2 o'clock. Once again, guys, for any of my local viewers out there who would like to see America's tenor, Chris Macchio, this Saturday night at the Paramount in Huntington. Get your tickets now, guys. It's going to be one hell of a good time. Also, guys, head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. That is the best way to support this program. You guys can get this Donald Trump did nothing wrong shirt. Lovely stuff. Absolutely lovely stuff. Guys, Will Johnson coming up next. Until tomorrow, everybody, stay loud.